I'm Katrina Doble, a trustee of the Intellectual Property Association of the Philippines, or AIPPI for short. AIPPI is a recognized national group of the Philippines for AIPPI. It is my pleasure to tell you more about AIPPI and what we have been doing lately. AIPPI, the leading organization for intellectual property practitioners in the Philippines, was founded in April 4, 1977. To date, it has 131 individual members and 50 corporate members. Particularly for AIPPI, AIPPI members actively participate in numerous standing committees, such as the Committees on Trademarks, Copyright, Anti-Piracy and Counterfeiting, Attorney-Client Privilege, and IP and Green Technology, to name a few. AIPPI members actively contribute to complete the study questions and regularly participate in AIPPI's annual Congress, and even attended last year's AIPPI Virtual Congress. The year 2020 was indeed a challenging year for all of us, both personally and professionally. We at AIPPI endeavored to keep ourselves relevant to our members while the Philippines was on strict lockdown through most of the year. Prior to the imposition of the first community quarantine, the new Director General of the Philippine Intellectual Property Office was appointed in February 2020. The first major activity of AIPPI for that year was a courtesy call with the newly appointed AIPPI Director General, Roel Barba. During the meeting, we discussed important matters affecting practice before the AIPPI as it shifted to mandatory online filings and hearings. We gave him feedback on the AIPPI's existing IT systems and areas for improvement. We ended with expressing our support for his planned projects and programs for his term. AIPPI also participated in congressional working groups for the proposed amendments to the Philippine Intellectual Property Code and lent its comments to the revised rules of procedure on intellectual property cases and other issuances affecting IP laws and practice. AIPPI's President Lani Villarreal even attended the formal media launch of the 2020 revised rules of procedure for intellectual property cases. With the community quarantine imposing strict prohibitions on physical gatherings, AIPPI launched its lecture series, which focused on topics which were either related to IP practice or helpful in coping with today's new normal. The lecture series was launched with a workshop entitled Taking a Mindful Pause, which served as a mental health check for our members and provided a safe venue to share experiences and challenges in the face of a pandemic. Another lecture in the series focused on the Food and Drug Administration's initiatives and strategies against counterfeit medicines. This allowed us to dialogue with a representative of the FDA on tips on reporting the presence of counterfeit medicines and medical devices, which is very much prevalent in a COVID world. Before the close of 2020, AIPPI also conducted a webinar entitled Video Conference Etiquette to aid its members on how to exude executive presence even in a virtual world. So far, attendance in the lecture series has been good and feedback encouraging. To kick off 2021, AIPPI hosted an event for camaraderie building amongst its members. This allowed IP newbies to interact and get to know stalwarts in the IP practice. Before the second strict lockdown of the National Capital Region, which was imposed in the second quarter of 2021, AIPPI, together with other business organizations, issued a joint statement expressing support for the immediate enactment of the Corporate Recovery and Tax Incentives Act, a stimulus package to help small and medium-sized businesses during this pandemic. For the last half of 2021, AIPPI is still planning a few more activities which will promote the protection of intellectual property and at the same time be helpful to our members. We'll keep you posted as more activities come along. Thank you.